And I must also add that the productive sector of our economy are the young people. And these young people, they don't use siren, they don't use convoys, and also they are not even captured in the economic indices of our country. Let me give you a simple analogy how doomed this country is. You see, among the police, only 13,000 police officers are engaged in fighting banditry and terrorist activities. 13,000. But go to the first CID, go and check. You can even use FOI to check this. 130,000 are following big men up and down. 130,000 are following big men up and down. In the Senate alone, and that's Senate and House of Reps, alone, there are 3,600 police people attached to these jobless senators and House of Rep people. Why will insecurity not persist in the country? If you see one small boy, just because he does Yahoo, he commands 4 or 5 policemen. That's why the country is fucked. I'm sorry to use the word, the F word. The country is doomed for real, and there's no coming back from it. Any nation where the police, the SSS, the army are subcontracted to politicians instead of policing the nation can never work. Forget about this cosmetic surgery and all these things. And believe me, as we are here, I can assure you that there are more than 200 conferences going on in Abuja right now. Nothing comes out of these conferences, absolutely nothing. If you go to Merit House, if you go to Transcorp, if you go to Sheraton, if you go to Ibro Hotel, even here, I think there are about 4 or 5 conferences going on here today. These are conferences, you print conference material, they do flyer, they do banner, we are wasting time in this country. Nigeria needs active citizens who will just wake up early in the morning on a fateful Wednesday or Thursday or Friday and occupy the entire nation and demand for reform and demand that these armed robbers, these buccaneers who are in the National Assembly, that they must stop stealing. A situation where you have the national budget, and 80% of the national budget is stolen. Is stolen. Blatantly stolen. And you expect me, you tell me that stop things can work. A situation where in a country, somebody stands in a church and says, lion carried him on his back. And people actually believe. People believe. So how do you want such a nation to work? And again, can you really blame them? You can't blame them because go and check all nations of the earth where governments have failed, people turn to God and religion. That's why you see people. Are you not surprised that Nigerians are calling on God of Israel, but Israel is calling on Iron Dome for protection? So, having said that, it's also important to say that if not for social media, where will we have been able to see the Akpabios of this world that will tell citizens and insult them that while you are protesting, I'll be eating? You know, if not for social media, how would we have seen Yabelo resisting arrest by EFCC? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the First Lady fooling around planting something in her backyard, and that is the only way to develop an economy? If not for social media, how will we have been able to know the abracadabra of Dangote and the NNPC and all their wuru-wuru? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the miracle of off your mic? You remember when the other man was accused of stealing 80-something billion naira, And he suddenly, immediately they started asking him questions in the National Assembly. He fainted. You know, if not for social media, how will we have been able to see the exposure of tribal bigots online? Who tells Igbos not to vote in Lagos in their own country on election day? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the level of brigandry during elections and electioneering, where Edo election is just coming up in a few days. The last election in Edo, a reporter was reporting that APC is sharing 5,000. PDP is sharing 5,000. Everybody is collecting and everybody is happy. If not for social media, how will we have been able to see those unethical practices? Again, if not for social media, how will we have been able to see the young man from China who exposes corruption and skill, the lecturer from Kano, Dambelo, who is Tulumbu's friend? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see that? If not for social media, how will we have been able to see the APC national chairman, Gandola, stuffing his Babariga with dollars? This is what they want to regulate. Don't allow them to regulate social media. Social media remains the conscience of the citizenry. If not for social media, how will you have been able to know that they have renamed Nigeria Federal Republic of Rice? Every problem, they believe that rice is the solution. If not for social media, finally, I know my time is up, and I'm so sorry. If not for social media, how will we have been able to harness the power and the dynamism of the youth during End SARS, End Bad Governance, and other social changing events? Social media has become a tool of mobilization. The reason why the government is so scared and why they did everything humanly possible to stop protests and agitation is because they know. And the reason why they target social media is because they know the power that social media wields, and they intend to stop the power. And in closing, if not for social media, how will we have been able to know all the exposures of corruption in the society? For instance, there is a young man.
As a result of the activities of these cyber criminals, there are technological facilities that are available to other countries for which we are banned as a country and as a people. So what those people do affects the reputation, the character, and integrity of almost everybody. There are some social media handles you will go, and they offer some facilities of financial rewards to some other nations. They will say that your country is not one of it. A nation of about 224 million people. And unfortunately, when things like this happens, it doesn't restrict itself to the people who are involved. So, what do we do as a country when we are faced with this? The approach are two. The first one is the prosecution, which the EFCC has been statutorily empowered to do. And because if there is no law and there is no agency that will specifically tackle this issue, it could have been worse. But the second aspect of it, which the spokesperson has pointed out, is how can we harness the ingenuity of these young people for the good of our country? Because if you have the skill, the knowledge, and the speciality of using the tools available in cyber to defraud someone, you also have that knowledge on how you can make legitimate earning out of it. If you go back to history, the generation in 1900s among the most richest people in the world. You have bankers, you have industrialists, you have oil magnates, you have insurance, shipping, and all sorts of those category of industry as the richest people in the world. But today, when you put Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, Bezos of Amazon, you see, it's all about technology. So technology is the wealth of the 21st century. And I believe that, you see, we are so blessed as a country. We excel in every field. If you go around the world today and you are talking of some of the top evangelical personalities in the world, Nigerians are on the side of the Muslims. When we go to Quranic recitation competition with the Arabs, we beat the Arabs. And in several fields. So this is an area which I believe that if we can use it, it can generate more money to us than even the oil we have all been rallying around. So how do we tackle this problem? Yes, we have a law. A law that says if you do this, you'll be dealt with that. But you see, most of these people that are involved in this, they don't know the consequences of what they are doing. Because you think the consequences is about arresting them and taking them to jail. But it is a lifelong destruction of themselves. Because when you are young, you are in your teenagers or early 20s, there are things you will do in the next 20 to 30 years that will still be haunting you. Take, for example, if you are in secondary school, you have been reported once to have stolen a goat, and you are arrested. Know that after secondary school, you go to university, and then you rise in career, and then you become whatever, and then you simply print your poster and paste it and come for a political debate. That issue will come forward. So it's not that it's just about taking them to prison because they don't know. So what we need to know, despite they knew how to defraud and collect money and do these things here, but they don't know that it has a long-term effect in their own history life. So my emphasis strongly is that the way we rehabilitate militants, the way we rehabilitate terrorists in northeastern part of Nigeria, and I believe that that is an issue, even though it will be difficult because when you see a young man of 16, 17 riding some of the most expensive cars, buying houses, because these are things which as a young man, you think you will get it in 60, 40, 50 years. Now he's getting it at the age of 17, 18. So no matter what it is, we have a law that takes care of it. But we should do everything possible to see how this country that is so richly blessed can utilize technology and the opportunity that avails in the cyberspace for our own economy and for our own future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Can we ensure this generally as well?
Hello, everyone. My name is Sadiq Zaiki. First of all, thank you very much for the invitation. It's actually a huge opportunity for Nigerians to know about Green Book and to know like Nigerians like us.
Sorry, let me this so that we don't we need to wrap up this session so that we can also go into something else. And then by the way, audience, if you're listening right now and you've been following the discussion, if you have any questions, please kindly write your questions down and pass it to one of the ushers so they can bring it up so we can also ask our panelists while we're talking right now. Thank you very much. So please go on.
For me, like the main issue for cybersecurity in Nigeria, I think we need to have, like he said, like ministries that like specifically do specific tasks. Like for example, data protection. Like someone can just go to Twitter or X, like there are some tools online he can use, pay money and get access to like 100,000 emails. And when he has access to those emails, he can use some tools to break the password, or maybe he can guess your password from your date of birth or something like that. He'll get access to your account. So the problem is, like Nigeria, we don't own our own social media, so we don't have much control. But assuming like Nigeria, we own our own social media platform, we can do like identity verification. Like for you to create an account, you have to have a name, you have to have a BVN. So like they can know like you are the actual person. In that social media, we should have like security. Like not everyone should get access to your email. But for Twitter and Instagram, people can pay money and get your email address. And if it's like a bad person, he can use it to like hack your account. So another thing is like still on that identity verification. Someone can just create a dummy account like on Twitter or X and pose as a business, gain some following, and trick people like, okay, I'm selling this bottle, like this is the price, send money to me, then that's how you scam you. Or someone can just like pose as a woman and start chatting with you, get sensitive information from you, whether it's nudes, or persuade you to send for him money, but you think you're chatting with a lady. So I think the main issue is we don't have control. We're relying so much on other countries for our information. Like for me, I studied in China. China have banned WhatsApp. Like they use WeChat, it's like their own WhatsApp platform. They don't allow everybody to have data as citizens, just like that. And they have Wave, which is like Twitter. So the advantage of having your own social media platform is, one, like you can censor, like as a government, someone can create like content that can tarnish the image of the government, or he can even cause protests, like he can promote protests. So I really think if we have our own social media platform, if there's a ministry that is created just for that data protection and cybersecurity, it will really reduce the amount of people that are being like hacked or they are being frauded online. So that's what I think.
Okay, thank you very much, Sadiq. One last.
The National Assembly to regulate the social media. The first one happened in the 8th Senate, where a senator from Kebbi State, in the person of my friend, Senator Bala Ibn Allah, submitted a proposal before the Senate for the regulation of the social media. But as a result of civil objection and protest from the general public, the Senate was compelled to stand down that bill. The second attempt was under the Ahmed Lawan's National Assembly, where two senators from Niger State made a proposal. Sani and Sabi made a proposal for a bill to regulate the social media. And from the content of that bill, you can see that they posited that the social media has become the source of cyberbullying, misinformation, and also a tool for destabilization of the country. But you can't imagine a country without social media in the 21st century. We have seen in some countries where there were interventions to regulate seriously the social media. Brazil has banned X, and Australia itself has made an intervention on restricting the social media. But the question is, this is the only tool to hold the leaders accountable. Social media has become a people's parliament where people can freely express themselves, and you can see changes in place. But like one of the person who made the speech here, he said there are a good side of it and the bad side of it. The bad side of social media is that it is a source for misinformation. It has also become a tool for cyberbullying, and people have become mentally addicted to it, and so many things that are attached to it. And nowadays, we are struggling to pull our kids out of the phones which we bought for them. On the other good side of it is that it is a strong weapon for advocacy and activism. You can't imagine the way the country is run in the last 25 years if there is no social media. During the military time, for us to organize a protest, we have to print leaflets, meet in the night, reach out to people, knock on doors, and then appoint to meet at a certain point. But today you create a WhatsApp group, and that's why you can see the June 12th protest in 1993 was not as impactful as the NSAS and the End Bad Governance protests, because the two protests were protests that benefited from the availability of social media. So we prefer a country that has a social media that can hold leaders to account than to have a country without social media. It's going to be complete darkness. So the problem we have today is when leaders say they need to regulate social media, it's not about the misinformation. It's not about the crime that is perpetrated. People simply want to operate without being questioned. And if this happens, it's going to be tyranny. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Senator Show.
Any school, anybody feeling formed to go study computer science, a waste of time. Computer science, IT is an art. You practice it like you learn handwork. So these boys, without you providing education, has learned these skills and they are practicing it. You have refused to acknowledge them. You have refused to implement them. You have refused to use them. So they are using themselves to be useful to themselves. Because they have refused to be useless as you want them to be useless. These are realities of the matter. So as it relates to economic development, let's just first start. If you go to every state, I will call on the sub-regional. Can we begin to create a private institute? Or if the national has refused, create where we can have it. These boys are good though. Do you know what it takes when you see them? See, it's because when you, the problem is, most people driving our government, they don't relate with the millennials. Neither could they understand the Gen Zs. The Gen Zs don't believe I need to wear a suit to go to work. I need to sit at home and earn an income. And you have refused to accept it. The dynamics of employment, the dynamics of skills, and the utilization of skills has changed. And we must understand it. It is not everybody that goes to 8 to 5 or 9 to 6 that is working. Some of them is just because the employment says you have to sit there. If you evaluate them, they actually did nothing for that time. But these boys stay awake till 2 a.m., stay awake till 3 a.m., tracking traffics of communications. Bros, it's not easy. Let's acknowledge this work. It is the stupidity of our system. It is the stupidity of our government to have harvested them and utilize it well. I have lived a life to have worked with this, and I work with the Gen Z. When I hire you, do you know what I tell you? When do you want to work? Some of them want to sleep till 10 and wake up and go and play and start working by 9 and work till 7 a.m. in the morning. And you say they are not working because they didn't bath and go to one office. Your head. You know. So for the sake of economic development, we need to change the model of realities of employment. We need to change the model of reality of skills training. So my recommendation is we can comfortably create a system if the government is willing and ready, because that system will work for us. I can set up a system where we'll track them, bring them in bros. Say you know how to hack every phone. Yes, no problem. UBA, please begin to pay this guy 1 million naira every month. Let him be tracking every phone for us. And you begin to see the banks being protected. Because as you block one, they will change format. The format is very dynamic. And once they get one format, they share it, and the boys will go on. The format will work. Once that format is expiring, another one is coming up. So it's dynamic. Bros, speak for yourself. I may be a patron. Don't bother. So, having lived this life, you know when I spoke up there, I told you, 22 years ago, I was licensed as an ethical hacker. We get paid. In Nigeria, there's no ethical hacker. So why? The system can create it. Do you know what ethical hacker do? Because you're licensed, you can't perpetrate any crime. What you do is that you begin to check for holes in a system. And there's no system that you have created that I will track in 1 minute or 60 seconds. I must detect a hole I can enter and do damage and come out. Every system you set in cyber security network must always have a 13 seconds lap. That is how it's built. That 13 seconds lap is for maintenance. So it will take somebody to track it per second to be able to detect that 30-second lapse. Once he detects that backhoe, he can enter and come out. Once he confirms it, he begins to deal with that. So if we have people, we have over 1 million Nigerians that have trained themselves on that, bros, we can hire them. That employment will help, and there will be development. I don't want to dive deep into it, but the economic benefit is so enlarged, and we can tap into it. If we don't do it early, you will begin to see magic that will happen in our elections. It is just a case of compare vote A plus vote B, assign the highest vote to who I like, and that is how the result will come out. And we are close to it. Because it doesn't take anything. When you now say electronic transmission, my job will just be to sit one place and be tracking the packet as they're moving and reassigning it to who I want. And I'll win the election. It's very simple. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanking the organizers of this event. It's a great sacrifice. It's a show of commitment to the nation. But I'm a bit surprised, given the level of organization and government officials they are invited for this very sensitive topic. Our dear nation is in need of unity, need to discuss, agree, and to disagree. Whether we like it or not, social media is inevitable all over the world. Whether we like it or not, it is a fact, it's a reality that we are living in, not just Nigeria, it's a global trend. But how we conduct ourselves to convert it into positivity, not negativity, is what we are here for. You cannot have an environment that is very chaotic. You expect prosperity out of it. It's not possible. There must be a moral conduct. There must be decorum. There must be decency. There must be infrastructure to accommodate all of us and give us a space to function. It's not about being extreme in every situation, being radical. We have our collective thoughts on how to run a system. And we are trained from different backgrounds. That is why we are not all politicians, we are not engineers, we belong to different fields of human endeavor. But for this kind of summit, social media summit, to be organized, and the most sensitive organs of governments are not here, and they were invited, it speaks volume about who we are. It speaks a lot of volume. So I want to salute your courage, your doggedness, and ensuring that the summit goes on. Like I have mentioned, the topic for me to discuss has been exhaustively discussed about the impact of social media in corporate organizations. There's no doubt about it. Every organization have their own safety nets in terms of protecting the system. There are some that cannot afford it. The greatest danger the nation is facing is not just social media, but the porousness of our airspace. Nigerian airspace is extremely very porous. It's part of the security challenges that we're having as a nation. Anybody can invade our airspace without tracking the person. So it's beyond the social media. Our corporate existence is in question. The ability of the government to do the needful, deploy technology, handle some of these very sensitive institutions is extremely very weak. So anybody can hack a system. Even the most developed countries on earth, US, Russia, everywhere you hear issues of hacking here, hacking this institution. Not to talk of us that have not even started. So we need to have institutions that are very strong, to be funded, to be equipped, so that to deal with the modern challenges of hacking system that will destabilize the entire financial institutions and cripple the nation as a whole. So, like I said, the issues have been discussed by very resource person. You can see from the panelists, Nigeria is not lacking in ideas or content. Not at all. We have surplus of them. But the ability of the government to bring them out and give them strategic position to function and add value is what is lacking. There is no will. But ideas are always there. Intellectual base are always there. Talents are always there. But harnessing them, providing the environment is the main challenge that we are facing as a nation. Let me appeal to all of us that despite our shortcomings, despite the insecurity, weaponization of poverty for political reasons, we don't have any other country except Nigeria. And nobody can do it for us. Nobody will come from anywhere and do it for us. We are the one to solve the problem. Nobody can solve it for us. We must appreciate the fact that we have what it takes to do it. But coming together and ensure that we keep aside some parochial issues and deal with the situation that is challenging our corporate existence is what is key. Some of us that are students of leadership, we understand that there's no perfect nation anywhere. There's no perfect home anywhere. What we try to do is to manage the situation. You can see the insecurity in America that have every fundamentals that are strong. Not to talk of us that are here. You can see China that brought the TikTok. They control it so that it will not destroy them. You can see in America, in the parliament, they're also debating the negative side of it, what they can do to contain it, and the positive side of it, what they can do to expand it. So this is what the nation is all about. Nobody is saying the social media is bad. No, but the good side must be amplified, must be strengthened. They must invest in it. The negative side must be regulated to stabilize the country so that we will not be too vulnerable beyond what we can do. So on this note, let me admit to the fact that no one should deceive himself as if there's a solution to social media. No, but we are not a banana republic. We are a nation ruled by law. And the reason why countries have armies, SSS, police, is for deterrence, nothing else. It's not for fashion. It's for the territorial protection of a nation and to engage extreme elements that want to bring down a nation. That's why you have security agencies. It's not for fashion. They die on behalf of the citizens. So what we need to do is to strengthen the system, not to weaken it more. Once it is weak, nobody knows who will be a victim. And nobody pray that at this point that we are, will be internally displaced. Natural disaster, flood is displacing millions of Nigerians. Hunger is displacing millions of Nigerians. So we must be very moderate in our approach so that we can sympathize with a system that is very weak and ensure that the system do not collapse on our heads. No one wants to see anybody running, looking for his children or parents or mothers or and what have you. Nobody pray for this. We will never pray for this. We have seen countries that go to war. Some of us are privileged to go to Liberia and Sierra Leone during the war. You cry, nobody beats you. No building standing that have not been pierced by bullets. We don't wish to be on that side of the history. We have our difficulties, our diversity. We must harness it into wealth so that it will be good for the country. On this note, I want to thank you. Like I said, everything has been discussed. My own is just to bring moral content into the whole conversation so that we'll understand really the essence of building a consensus. But like I said, I'm not happy because the strategic people, even the Attorney General of the Federation, that ought to have guided the nation in bringing laws that will suit the system, was represented. EFCC chairman that have direct consequences on this also was represented. The Inspector General of Police was not here. The National Security Advisor that have an overall oversight functions and responsibility is also not here. Yes, conferences might be going on, but there are priorities of conferences. This is a very sensitive issue, but let's keep on, let us not give up. The more we give up, we are in for doom. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Thank you. God bless.